What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review Podcast. Today, I'm hanging out with Alvaro from Piñata Protest out of San Antonio. Saw them play recently with it was Voodoo Glow Skulls and Authority Zero. And was it one more band? Or it might have been just the three of y'all.
It was one band from Houston.
Another band from Houston.
Got their name.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of shows, and I'm sure you play a ton of shows. But how are you doing today, man?
Doing great. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I really enjoyed. I had heard your music a couple of times, but I had never seen y'all play. And when I watched y'all, I was like, I have got to talk to these dudes because I think you've got a great live show. Which if you don't have that, it's really hard to convince people to invest much time in your music, in my opinion. So I appreciate the work that's very clearly put in. Y'all got a fairly large group of people playing. It's more than just three people. It's how many people in the band? 5 or 6?
It's 4 of us. Sometimes we were 5, but the core is like 4 of us.
And you play the accordion and do vocals.
Yeah, I play accordion and trumpet, and the lead singer, and Weedle too sometimes. So
dude, that's crazy.
I have have literally 3 instruments. Like, I had 3 instruments during the show. So,
dude, that's amazing. Well, I genuinely, man, I'm really interested in your music now, and I think that says a lot, whenever somebody who's not really familiar with you just stumbles upon your music and is like, well, this is really great. So how long have you guys been playing?
18 years. I don't know, for a while.
No way. That's
a long time.
That I didn't know about your band until fairly. I mean, I'm like maybe 6 months ago. I've heard about y'all. I think it was somebody from the channel that actually mentioned it or brought it up. Maybe I was on a flyer and I looked into it or something, but it was fairly recently. But you guys play a mixture of like, explain what it is. I don't want to like misinterpret something, but it's a punk band, for lack of a better word, but it's got a lot of stuff in there.
Right on. Yeah, I think at our core, we're a punk rock band, and we fit in very nicely to punk rock festivals and stuff like that. And we kind of play around with all the subgenres in that, like ska. We do some thrash stuff. I guess some indie stuff. I don't know, just a little bit of everything. But the main, I think, idea of the band is that we mix that with more traditional sounds of Mexican music, which is norteño music, cumbia, huapango, and that's pretty much what the whole thing of the band is. We're just this big melting pot of music genres.
Dude, it's kind of hard to, if I was to go and start a band, I don't know that I would have the ability to mix so many sounds into one like album or live set. And it really is it's nice, man. It makes you want to move. That's the thing that I noticed the most is you got like a groove to your music that I was like, I've been in Texas my whole life. So I've been around that kind of music just because of where I live. It's just something I've heard a lot my whole life based on where I lived and who I was hanging around with and members of my bands, et cetera, right? So it was a sound that I was fairly, I don't know, familiar with, but it was a good mixture of all of it. And then there's like this underlying bedrock of like punk ethos and stuff. But what inspired you guys to start doing the music and then to add in, I don't know, the stuff from your culture? Because you could have been just like a punk rock band. It didn't have to go into I'm sure it's more difficult to write music that way.
Yeah, it is more of a challenge for sure. I think to try and play like do different genres in there. I think especially when it comes down to like the nitty gritty, like the musical stuff, like if you're gonna play a traditional cumbia beat, like how are you gonna put in what's the guitar gonna sound like? Is the drums gonna stay the same, or is it gonna incorporate some thrashier, harder like drumming style like within that? Can it be done? So I don't know. There's a lot of experimentation that we do, and we're still trying to figure stuff out too. But that's kind of like the fun thing about this band, and I think that's also what what inspired it was playing with a lot. All of us, we played in other bands before, and one thing at least that bothered me a lot was always that people would tell me that we sounded like somebody else, as a compliment, but I always took it as a very negative, negative compliment. And I guess at the time, when I was when I started the band, is I wanted just to do something for fun. I didn't want to I didn't have any aspirations of playing music. Definitely not for this long. That's all I do too. All I do is play music now, and I didn't have any aspirations to do it, full time. And I just wanted to do it just for fun. And for me, I just wanted to have fun and just try to create something brand new that I had never didn't exist. And that really was the whole idea, for starting the group, is just I wanted to have fun. I wanted to have fun, and I wanted to do something that more reflected who I was and where I came from. And I think at the same time, I was doing a lot of soul searching, trying to figure out who I was. And I was really getting into my roots, my Mexican roots at the time. Because prior to that, growing up, I kind of almost rejected it. I'm from Mexico. I was born there and everything. But I grew up mostly in the United States, and I didn't identify more, but I acclimated more into that culture. Right. And when you're growing up as a kid, I think you don't really care, but I think later on when you start growing up, I'm sure everybody goes through this, you want to start figure out who you are and where you come from and your lineage, and you get interested in those kinds of things. So I definitely went through that. And, I fell in love with all the songs that I grew up listening to, that my parents played on the radio or heard at parties. And I almost rediscovered them. So that just exploded this whole new, world of music. And I just wanted to just start exploring that more. And then at the same time, of course, my love for punk rock at the time, was at its height, at its peak. And I was like, how cool would it be to do something with these two, genres, these two worlds? And that's really what started the band. And, the other guys in the band, they have, similar stories too, that we all grew up, listening to that same music too. And we all grew up liking punk rock and everything. And we're all on the same page as far as our background. So that's cool. But at the same time, some of us in the band, some of the guys lean more into blues music or metal, or you just whatever. No offense.
You can tell that there's people from all different I don't want to say walks of life, but kind of musical backgrounds, musical interests within your singular band.
Cool.
And I definitely think that you did a good job not pigeonholing yourself into some kind of. I understand not wanting to be compared to something all the time. I only do a channel, but I've been compared to other people that do this kind of stuff, and I'm like, dude, I don't do nothing like that person, man. I got my own thing going on, and I appreciate the nice, the kind words, but it does make you want to really turn hard left into a different lane and be I don't want to be that. But
right, yeah.
I was trying to get an explanation. I was talking to, I think it was my buddy Colin. He plays drums in the Hates, and he was explaining I think we're talking on the phone about going to that show, and I was asking him hey, you ever heard this band? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, what's up with them? Da da da. He's like, yeah, it's kind of and he was trying to explain it to me, and it was interesting because he was definitely giving me 9 different genres that y'all fit in, and I could see how you would definitely just fit nicely with a bunch of different groups of bands,
Yeah.
But but I think it's nice to have the you got this underlying genre of punk that is kind of the bedrock of the music, right? But then you have all these other things, and I can understand that. My whole family's Irish, and so when I hear bands or Or even, I know they're Scottish, but your T-shirt, the Real Mackenzies, it's very similar to the stuff that my people would make. And Flogging Molly came around, and I was like, oh, I really understand this. I get this music, and
Right
it's
on,
kind of,
man.
similar lane. But so what do you guys? How many albums do you guys have out?
We have 3 full-length albums, and we have like 2 EPs and a lot of singles. Like we've been doing lately, we've just been releasing singles.
Yeah.
The way things are, and also too, like we're just very busy. Like we've been touring a lot, like for the past few years, and it's really hard to get together and just write full-length albums. So the easier thing is just record one song at a time and just release it. And that's actually, I like it like that, because it keeps new songs flowing. And it's I like that. Instead of waiting a year or two or more for full-length albums. So
It keeps your name in the algorithm, and you just keep popping up. It's hitting like a refresh button instead of having to, like you said, wait a long time for a collection of songs. You could always take 8, 10, 12 of those songs and put out a record if you wanted to. You don't have to. There's no rules within this thing. You can do it however you want. But
yeah.
did you say you're a full-time musician earlier?
Yeah,
That's awesome. So
yeah, it's not just this band though. I have another band at home. When we're not touring, I have another band called Grupo Tan Tan, and that band, the guitar player Reggie's also in it. And what we do is just play traditional, like no BS, just very traditional, Tejano and Norteño and cumbia and country music, and even like oldies too. And I'll play accordion also and trumpet, and he plays bajo sexto. And then we play with we have a trio version, which is like with an upright bass, which is cool. Very, very traditional style. And then we have the full band, with drums and everything. And we play around San Antonio and Austin, and we'll play bars and quinceañeras and weddings and whatever. Like last week we did a 69-year-old serenade, and at the same time, like we also did a baby shower. So
that's awesome.
And then we'll play a bar like the next that same day. So we're busy doing that, and I'm fortunate that we get gigs, and that's what we live off of, and it's a lot of fun. I love playing music. I love punk rock, of course, but I love all music, and it's a lot of fun, and it keeps you learning, it keeps you developing as a musician, and what else could you want? If you love playing music, it's a great way to do it.
100%, man. You found a cheat code, dude. That's awesome. I mean, I'd rather play music of any genre than go to work at some place you have to clock in at 9:40 in the morning and leave at 6 in the evening. And
right on.
That's not a life for me, man. I tattooed my neck when I was like 19. My mom was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't ever want to wear a suit to work." She's like, "You fix that." And I was like, "All right, cool." And it was hard for a while, but you find what you love, and you just run towards that. If you got a little bit of like grit and determination, you'll make it, man. You'll figure it out.
Right on.
So what are the plans like with Piñata Protest? Are you trying to, I guess, is there any plans for an album in the near future or more touring? Is that coming up in the next 6 to 8 months or so?
Yeah. Well, right now we're taking a much needed break from touring hardcore. So right now, we're actually just concentrating on songwriting, and we're like 2 songs away from a brand new album. So we're gonna compile, like you said earlier, all those singles that we've been releasing, plus a bunch of new fresh songs that no one's ever heard before, and we're gonna make a brand new album. Hopefully, I think if all things go well, hopefully at the end of this year or the next year, we'll have it out, including like vinyl, which is, to me, that's really where it's all about. You could just keep releasing the singles digitally and I don't know. That's not. I mean, that's cool and all, but I mean, and in making an album, it's not that special. But when you have it like on vinyl, like on physical, that's to me that's what's cool about it. You know, that's when
Oh,
they have the new album.
I agree. I own a record store and a label, so I 1,000,000% agree with that. Like I want physical copies. You guys drop something new, I will bring it into my store. Like CDs are oddly popular right now, like big time, big time. I think it's because most of the young people are getting cars that are like, let's say 6 to 12 years old, and they mostly have CD players in them. So
Huh.
kids between the age of 16 and like 25 are just buying stacks of CDs every weekend. It's crazy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the punk rock review, how did you discover punk rock as a genre? Was it I assume when you were younger, no?
Yeah. Well, that didn't happen till like I was 16 or 17, actually, kind of late, I guess. I grew up in a very traditional, conservative kind of style Mexican family, and you know, I know Ozzy Osbourne died earlier today,
Oh,
but
dude.
you know, that like music like his was forbidden. You know, it was, you know, it was thought of, you know, even the oldies rock was thought of to be like a negative influence. So I really grew up, you know, kind of sheltered, I guess, from punk rock, you know, and also too, you know, I wasn't allowed to go to parties, you know, until I was a little bit older. And but like when I turned about 16, I did finally go to like start beg my parents like to go to this party, and they were playing punk rock there, the CDs, like the Clash and the Ramones, all the classic stuff, and it was great. And it was like, wow, like to me it was really was like a life-changing experience. And everybody has that, I think, moment when the first time that you listen to punk rock, even more so than like rock music, you know, it's even more, there's something about it, man. It's and yeah, my life changed at that moment. And at that moment I wanted to, is my little dog Pee Wee.
What's
uh,
up, Pee Wee?
uh,
Let's go. I got a big old sausage sleeping in my chair over here, man. He's a big old fat puppy dog. What's up, little dude? I love dogs, man. I'm a dog person for
yeah,
forever.
me too. Yeah, that moment, man, I decided, you know what, I want to learn how to play the electric guitar, because I just felt so invigorated that moment, you know. And that's how it happened, really. And just from there, you know, you just go down the rabbit hole of all the bands, and you know, and it's still going on, man. I'm still
You're
listening to new
right.
bands, and yeah, it's never ending.
Yeah, dude. That's. I mean, I have a very similar background. I mean, I grew up in a very like religious house, and like I was also about 16, and my mom was not about that life, dude. I remember I brought home a White Zombie CD that was called like La Sex Aristo Devil Music or something, and I went to school or whatever, and I came home and it was on my bed, broken in half, and it was just sitting there, and I was like, oh, guess mom found that. And I mean, I might have been what 13 or something. I shouldn't have had that anyways at that age. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but like, look, I understand why she was not, but she ain't had to break it, man. She could have just, but every time I would get in some kind of trouble, she'd go find all my music and be like, this is why you're behaving like this. Crack, crack, crack. Dude, she broke all my Pantera stuff.
Oh,
I got her to go through Rancid and Out Come the Wolves CD booklet one day, and she was trying to read it. You know, he wrote in little tiny letters. She's like trying to, I said, read the words. They're not saying anything crazy. And she had the nerve to be like, well, he says 3 curse words in here. I'm like, out of the whole record, you're worried about 3 curse words? I was like, man, that's wild, dude. Like, I mean, I moved out of my mom's house when I was 17. I couldn't do it, man. I was just like, I gotta go. But yeah, it is a different feeling, like you said, though. Like I remember listening to it, and like, you know, R.I.P. to Ozzy, man. Like my condolences to his friends and family. That's I've had a rough week. I've lost, you know, if you want to include Ozzy Osbourne, 3 people in my life, man, and it's just been
all right.
life goes on, right? But it's just been like, good grief, dude, the universe is just kicking you in the face. But it is a different feeling when you hear punk for the first time. I mean, I was into like metal and stuff when I was younger, and I heard Rancid for the first time, and it completely changed like what I felt about music.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's this energy about it. I don't know. It's indescribable.
That's what it is, though. It is an energy, and it comes right through the speakers, man. You'll be laying there on the floor as you're a kid listening to music. That's what I was doing. I was just laying on the floor, and like It's funny too because I've never like before that or since that I've never heard a Rancid song on the radio. I heard it one time, and it was in 1995, and they played Time Bomb, which back then ska was real big, so they played Time Bomb, but it sounded different. It didn't sound like Real Big Fish or Mighty Mighty Boss Stones. It sounded more like raw and a little bit more just raw is probably the right word.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I need to know what that was. And I waited and waited and waited for like another probably 3 or 4 songs for them to say like, and that was Rancid with their new single Time Bomb, blah, 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 blah. And I remember thinking like, okay, I got to figure this out. And then I ended up seeing them play in 96 with the Ramones, but also it was Soundgarden and Metallica. It was at the Lollapalooza in Dallas.
Cool.
And that was my first show. And then I was like, yeah, I think I know what I want to do the rest of my life.
Right on, man.
Yeah. So what are some of your biggest influences, just in general? We don't have to stick with punk, but just like what are some of the musicians that you really look for either stuff that really inspired you to write music or things you just enjoy listening to when you're at home? Because that actually is when you're getting inspired. You just don't realize it. But like some of the stuff that really got you going.
On the punk rock side, like bands like the Ramones, where I just love their how catchy the songs were, man. It was, I don't know, it was like drugs. It's like you can't stop listening to it, like same song over and over and over and over. And I think a lot of that kind of really just melodic style with kind of simple chord progressions, nothing crazy, kind of really stuck with me. And that really flows really well into, on the Mexican side, like bands like Los Tigres del Norte, who they can be thought of as like the Beatles of like Mexican music. And if you follow the music, they're basically also like just very melodic. Like their melodies are so easy and catchy, and the chord progressions are very, very extremely simple. A 3-chord song, basically, just like the Ramones. And the drum beats are all simple, just, oompa, oompa, oompa. They're simple drums. They're very simple songs on, both sides. And lyrically, too, I think one thing that really attracted me to them was they were singing about the immigrant experience. And to me, that was important, I guess, because, I grew up with that experience growing up, and that was meaningful. But I guess those two bands are, on those sides of genre, but it's, are what influenced me the most.
You mentioned listening to the same song like on repeat, and I might be wrong about this, but I remember doing that when I was younger. Like I would have a mixtape, and it may have like the same song 2 or 3 different times on one side of it. I might have, it's just my favorite song. I'd be like, here's my song, and then like 2 or 3 more, I'm like, I needs to be on there again, to put it back on there, or I would just listen to it on repeat if I had like a single or whatever.
Right on.
And I don't know that people do that anymore, but like that's how you really learn a song, is you listen to it a bunch of times, man. And there's an art to making a song that somebody wants to hear, 30 times in a weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, that doesn't happen too much often anymore. Like sometimes every once in a while I'll hear something great, and I'm like, it's like my song for like, that month or whatever. I can't think of anything lately. I've been like just on repeat, but actually, I mean, I have actually, but it's like other stuff. It's like like right now I'm really into old Cuban music from like the 50s and before. It's just like, it's like the roots of like of salsa kind of thing, but even before even that, it's like the great grandfathers of that, I guess. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm on repeat right now, I guess.
Okay.
And
dude, there's nothing wrong with that. I found a bunch of stuff from France that I really like. It's newer music, but it's like all the stuff I've been listening to is from that part of the world right now. And I found a few records in the last. I do this channel, so I try to keep up with some of the newer punk stuff specifically, or oi and ska and reggae. And there's a bunch of good stuff coming out of the other side of the world. There's Spain, France, a little bit of stuff out of Germany. Italy has got some good stuff.
Yeah.
There's always good stuff coming out of Mexico. Where else is there always like really good stuff? Oh man, Indonesia has a ridiculous punk rock scene. It's kind of they're like set back like 20 years, right? But they still have bands that sound like bands I really like. And every time I hear something from Indonesia, I'm always like, dude, what is that? I like that. And I write it down and try to go find more of it. Yeah, you dig a little deeper than over here, you'll find some really great stuff. People need to. It's like people that don't want to read subtitles, so they don't ever watch a foreign film. You're like, bro, you're missing out so much, man.
Dude, yeah, it's a great comparison. Yeah, like foreign films, man. Like so many great stuff out there.
Yeah, do you guys? So if y'all toured a lot, what are y'all doing on the road? You guys doing? Y'all drive a van, I assume, with a trailer?
Yeah,
yeah.
Van. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I mean, it gets us around, and touring is expensive, so you can always go the bus route, but then you just come home with no money. So
right.
So yeah, it was just a van for us.
What do you guys do in the van? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's okay. What do we do? We do a lot of sleeping as much as we can, I guess.
Makes sense.
That's sleeping, and myself, I'm always back there. I mean, I run all the social media. I also tour manage, and so I'm always back there on my phone.
Yeah, you're busy.
Basically, just doing stuff that needs to get done. And sometimes if I have time, I'll practice. I'll take one of my accordions back there, and I'll just practice as quietly as I can while other people are sleeping. And my guitarist, like, he takes a little portable guitar, just like the neck, basically, like
cool
guitar. So he takes that and he's back there jamming, just practicing. We try to entertain ourselves, or we just listen to comedy or podcasts or just music.
Yeah, podcasts have gotten real big on the road lately, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You can really zone out and kill some time with a good podcast.
Right.
Y'all do like comedy podcasting, or are you doing like true crime stuff? What kind of podcast y'all listen to?
Well, my thing really is just music. Honestly, that's what I'm doing. I don't know. I like to discover new music. That's kind of like my new thing. I mean, not my new thing, but my thing. So I'm always like going down rabbit holes, like on Spotify. I'll go down that rabbit hole. If I like a band, I'll go check out their album, and then I'll check out every single song, and then from there kind of look up similar artists and then go down that rabbit hole. So when I'm driving, I'm just constantly changing music. It really bugs the rest of the band because I'm always like flipping through songs, but I'm trying to discover like my new favorite thing.
Yeah.
And you never know. You never know. And I've gotten lucky. I've really struck gold. Oh my gosh. And it's awesome when you do. So that's how I pass the time when I'm driving, at least.
Oh, dude, there's nothing better than finding a new band that you like latch onto. Like, and I'm really lucky that I do this channel, so I have people sending me stuff all the time. Dude, there's been so many bands. I mean, shoot, your band is one that I didn't know of until fairly recently. So like, I get to latch onto that now and listen to what y'all are putting out. And now that I'm invested in your music now to an even further degree, so I'm gonna want to follow what y'all are doing. There's nothing better than that. Nothing, man.
Right on.
Yeah, dude. Like, I listen to a lot of oi music, and there's like this new, I don't know what to call it, man. Like this just big group of bands that have this like very rock and roll centered, like pub rock, bava rock centered oi music, and then there's also a bunch of bands that have like this like post punk infused oi music, and those two subgenres have like I've been just digging, man, trying to find every single band I can possibly find that has that kind of sound. And then I'll email them, hey, can I get some records, man? Hey, you want to do an interview? I want to know all about it. I just want to hear about your history, what got you into it, and then I'll find out some bands and I'm like, dude, you're 20? I'm like, good Lord, dude, you're doing this like that at that age, huh? It's interesting to watch people's journey from a different point of view,
Yeah.
So how many dates did y'all do with Voodoo Glow Skulls?
I think that was what 11. I think.
Oh, okay, that's quite a bit.
No, it's nothing.
Oh, well, dude, every band
Short
now,
little
all
tour.
every band that I talk to, they're like, yeah, we do 3 or 4 dates, we go home. We do 3 or 4 dates, we go home. So I don't hear very many people that go out on tour and hit 10, 15, 20 dates before they come back. Everybody I talk to is home within a week because it's just so expensive. Like you said earlier, it's expensive to tour, man. But 11 dates, that's fun, man. That's a pretty good. Was Authority Zero on all of them too?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
good lineup, man. That's a great lineup.
Yeah, we did Florida. We did basically Florida, up and down Florida, and then we did a few dates around Texas. It was a lot of fun.
Hell
Love
yeah.
those guys. We've toured with both of those bands before, on separate occasions in the past, and so it was really a reunion for us.
Nice.
With them, and I got to play accordion with Voodoo and Authority Zero. That was a lot of fun. So
Those bands are bands I've been listening to for a very long time. So I thought that was a great lineup. I enjoyed it. And I've talked to a bunch of those dudes and everybody's been so cordial and nice. It's we got a good community here for the most part, man. Most everybody I've meet are solid dudes. What is a band that you would love to tour with that you haven't gotten the opportunity to do that with?
man, well, I think as cliche as it might sound, Flogging Molly is one of those bands that I'd love to do some touring with them. I love that band. They're doing similar things as we are with mixing of the genres. We've done the Flogging Molly cruise
Oh, nice.
before in the past, and that was a lot of fun. That was probably top 3 musical shows I've ever played in my whole life. And we may be doing it again. I don't know.
Dude,
We'll see.
let's go.
But when we did that one time, it was great. It was fantastic. And, Dave King, the singer, is an inspiration, for sure. So yeah, that would be probably my number 1 pick because I just love them so much. I love their songs are catchy. They're really like Ramones songs, really, just like simple chords, 3 chords, and just a super, catchy melodies. They're
Well,
great.
they're like acoustic anthems, man. They're like songs that you can get behind, get around in a group and sing them together. Like they're all so many of their songs, anyways, are songs that you want to sing with people. Like you don't want to necessarily just sing it by yourself. You want to have all your buddies with you. You're all singing along in a car, and oh, I love this song. Yeah, I mean that's what folk music really does. Is it brings out all your folk music. That's what it was. It was a group thing. You sang it as a group most of the time, not all the time, but Fog and Molly. That I had a incredibly. I'm very much attached to that band. I had an incredibly emotional experience. So they've been touring since like I think '97 or something like that. And I saw them play probably in '99, maybe. There wasn't nobody there, man. It was in Houston at Fitzgerald's, and they were opening for somebody. I can't remember who they were opening for. And there wasn't anybody there for them yet. And I remember I had heard about them, and my last name is Patty, dude. My whole family's Irish, and I was like, they're like an Irish, like what? I don't get it. So I went in there to watch them, and then they were playing on like broke ass instruments at this point, and but I remember seeing them and being like, oh, dude, this band's awesome. And then I bought a hat and a CD of I think Swagger, and then like a year later, I lost my dad, and then I went to see him at Fitzgerald's again. This time in front of a lot more people, and I had this girl with me. We're standing up in his balcony, and he sits out there, and he comes out by himself. Dave King does with his acoustic guitar, and he sings that song about his dad. And it was the first time I ever like cried at a show, dude. I just couldn't. It just wouldn't stop, dude. But I was like having a great time. It was the weirdest feeling, man. But yeah, bands will do that to you, man. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience to go see a band you love like that. Yeah, that's awesome. Where have y'all gone on tour? Have y'all gone out of the country? Wait, did you already say that? I can't remember.
No, we've gone to Europe 4 times.
Damn.
Mexico a bunch of times, all over, and Canada. That's it.
What's the response to like a Hispanic style of music in those countries? Are they jamming out too?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, I think it's just the novelty of having a band from another country. Doesn't matter really what genre we're playing. I guess it's
Good
just
point.
that we're from another country, so we're automatically exotic, right? Which is fun. But I don't know. It's like when we tour Spain, for example. There's there's a lot of things going on when you know the history of Spain and Mexico, and then you start getting to the language. I don't know. We bonded very much with people from there because of that. We did run into some issues with like people like straight up like saying they pretty much treat us differently because we're Mexican, right? Then this was like run-ins with cops, like there's definitely racism everywhere. I'll say that. But even like some people who were doing interviews with us, like we had this one interview with this newspaper, and it was like an older newspaper. I don't know why we ever been doing it, but it was like this old newspaper that's been around forever. And I don't even think they had like a digital presence. Like it was just all newspaper. So
that's wild.
Anyway, yeah. Well, anyways, long story short, no, they were doing audio. That's why they did that. Okay. So the interviewer said in a very condescending way, he's like, I know you guys are from Mexico, so would you like me to speak more slowly for you? Like that. I was like, like, because they do speak Spanish over there very fast, and they have their accent, which, like, I speak Spanish, I don't speak it the best, but I know how to speak it, pretty well. And that, so we had run-ins like that.
That is a little bit weird. Yeah. You're like, you don't gotta say it like that, bro. You gotta just ask me if I understood what you were saying.
Yeah. And then like another fun place to that was for us was Germany. And if you know about the German Bavarian settlers that came to Texas after Texas was a state, then you know that there's a big connection there, with the accordion,
right,
and everything, and that was a lot of fun touring through Germany. But like what I didn't know at the time was that how there was like two Germanys. There's like the northern and the south, and the northern part of Germany doesn't necessarily embrace the southern's culture, which is what as Americans we think of, like lederhosen and beer mugs and Oktoberfest. That's more of the South stuff,
I didn't know that either.
So yeah, like all the festivals that we have, Fredericksburg, New Braunfels, about German culture, that's not really acknowledged. Well, except they know about it, of course, but it's not really a thing that they do in the northern parts of Germany.
Interesting.
And actually, I even heard too, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard like, in that part of Germany, they really almost kind of negate it because of the history with like Adolf Hitler, because he was almost like pushing the southern, Bavarian culture onto all of Germany. He wanted all Germany to identify that way. And, after all the awful things happened, they wanted everybody just wanted their best to get away from all that, culture. And, I understand, I get it, but, in the United States, we don't, how we are, like, we don't know what the rest of the world, what's going on in the rest of the world. So anyways, but nonetheless, I had some great conversations with a lot of German people about, those kinds of things. One story that kind of stands out was there's this ethnomusicologist that snuck into our green room during one of our shows in Germany. And he was very enthusiastic about sitting down with me for a second and just asking me a few questions. And basically, he was curious about, that connection with the Bavarian, Southern German, immigration to Texas, and how that influenced, Norteño and Tex-Mex and conjunto music. And he was wondering, his big question was, is it still influential in Mexican music? And I told the guy, I was like, man, how much time do you have? Have a seat. and I had a nice talk with him, and I just busting out, Spotify and YouTube, and just showing him, like, man, like, Mexican music still has this huge influence from that European, music of the, think about like the tuba, right? All the banda stuff, right? The accordion, of course, the waltz rhythms, the polka rhythms, right? All
Yeah,
that stuff is like,
especially polka for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
it's huge. It's huge, and it's like, it's like the number one band at the time was Peso Pluma in the Latin genre, right? He was like number one at the time, and he uses that same stuff too, all that. So he was kind of like mind blown kind of thing. So that was a lot of fun. Talk with him.
That's awesome. It's cool because after I asked you about the response to the Hispanic music, I started thinking about it as you were talking. I was like, you know what? I guess there's a lot of similarities in just a like folk, like instruments, right? The accordion and like just acoustic instruments and things like that. And there's going to be sounds that are in German music and music from Spain and probably Italy, right? That definitely get transported over to Mexico. And I mean, there's going to be stuff from Irish music that gets over there, and vice versa, stuff from Mexican music that gets over to other parts of the world too. So I guess it's probably not too different. They hear it and they can probably hear some things that they're familiar with and be like, "Oh, I identify with this. I'm gonna get out there and move around a little bit."
But
Hell yeah, that's awesome! What a great experience! I bet that conversation with that dude was amazing.
yeah, it was cool. It was like, yeah, I've been waiting my whole life to have this conversation.
Well, you opened my eyes to some things I didn't even know about. I didn't know about the Germany being separated like that. I didn't know that. I know Ireland's got Northern Ireland and then like Ireland, but I didn't know Germany had a similar thing going. It makes sense, but they don't teach us that kind of stuff over here. Like you were saying, man, our schools are weird, man. Like I don't know. I'm not gonna get off on a tangent about that, but yeah. So have you ever had a spot? Not a spot, I guess. Excuse me. Man, I'm so sorry. Have you ever had a time where, since you do music full time, has there ever been an instance or a situation where you were ready to stop and just be like, I can't do this anymore? Or have you always just been, I'm going to go forward and do this? There's never been a spot in your life where you wanted to give it up?
All the time.
All
the time. I love playing music. I love this sort of lifestyle that I have, and really, that's what it really is. I think when people ask you like, how is being a full-time musician like, and it's really more of a lifestyle more than anything. Really, it's but it's not that I don't like it, but it's you sacrifice a lot of things, especially your time with your loved ones, and even though people may complain about having a 9-to-5 job and only working all the time, there's a lot to be gained from that too. And I've worked 9-to-5 jobs. Like I haven't been doing music full time that long. Like my last job, I was a teacher. I was a full-time teacher.
Nice.
And I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. It was very fulfilling. For me, it paid well. I got, a lot of days off, even though I was working. I was working a lot. Oh my gosh. Teachers work a lot all the time. Even on weekends, they were working. So
it's not an easy job. That's not an easy career.
I mean, actually when I got into it, it was more of kind of a life goal kind of thing. It was like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it like for the rest of my life or not. And, but I said, I want to do it at least 1 year. and that was my goal. And, I did it. And in my head, ideally, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a teacher, right? Just a regular teacher. But on the weekends and all the holidays we have off, I'm going to be touring. It's going to be perfect. And so I don't have to worry about money, right? Making money with music. And it would be great. It would be a great balance, right? But no, it turned out that I was working all the time, on weekends, on holidays. So I had no time to devote to music, and so I had to kind of choose one or the other. So I chose the one that I think had more uncertainty and the more adventurous one.
Yeah, very, very much. Yes,
So,
yes.
I chose the one with a more interesting plot line. So
what were you teaching?
I was teaching middle school in a dual language. It was Spanish and English, history, and social studies. So that was a lot of fun. I like those subjects.
I should have guessed that it was history and social studies, actually, because of what you've been talking about this whole entire time. I should have known that. In my head, I was like, I wonder if he taught like math or something, because you're really well spoken and intelligent. And I just thought, of course, it's history, dude. That makes so much more sense. What is yeah? How long did you do that for? Was it just the 1 year? Just the 1 year, huh?
1 year. That's all I needed. It was fun. I loved it.
My man said that's all I want. That's all was good.
It was good. It was a lot of fun, and I actually got to teach accordion too, while I was doing that too.
Oh, that's cool.
Like on the side, like it was like kind of
nice. Okay.
After school kind of music class, and they found out the principal found out that I played music, and they're like, "Would you be interested in doing this?" And I was like, yeah. So I did that too. That was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. I found out recently there's a dude down here named Cam. He runs a club called Trip Six, and if you'd have asked me what he did for his like day job, you could have given me 1,000 guesses, and I never in my life would have said teacher. And I found out he was an actual like I think high school teacher, and it blew my mind. Not because I didn't think he could do it. I didn't think he would do it. Like his entire head is tattooed. Like he just doesn't come off as like a teacher. Like
right.
I found it out, and it made me so happy to know that he was a teacher. I was like, that's amazing. Like he's like won awards. Like he's a really good teacher. I was like, dude, let's go, man.
Right on, man.
We need people like us to teach people, though. Like that's real. Like we need people that are willing to push back against like false teachings and stuff. Like people that are willing to be like, no, this is really what's going on. I don't know. I just feel like people in our community would make good leaders and teachers, for at least it's a blanket statement, but it may not be a blanket rule, but you know what I'm saying. But
no, for sure. I remember one time I saw this band in San Antonio. They were on tour. They're from Denver, I think. They're called Las Adelitas. And it was like a 4-piece, but it was like husband and wife in the band, and they were both teachers, and they were all tattooed up, and they were like on very political and like super political. Like before every song, like this song's about fuck capitalism, and and they the woman, she was a Chicana, and she sang in Spanish too, and that was cool. And so a lot of their stuff also they sang about the immigrant experience here, and immigration and all that stuff. So that was cool. That was inspiring. That actually was kind of the inspiration. I was like, okay, I could be a teacher and a punk rocker too. That inspired that. So.
It's interesting. I think people don't realize that you can be a punk rocker and still pretty much do whatever you want, because you don't have to have like tattoos and stuff. Like that's not really necessarily punk rock. Like it might be part of an attitude if you want to make it like that, but like that's not, there's no, oh, you have to do this in order to be part of this community. Like you can find any job you want, and because it's easier to fight the system from within than outside of it most of the time anyway. So if you're going to make change, you might as well be a part of something to go make the change, instead of being like, I'm screaming from the outside, they're going to just shut you out.
Yeah, I mean, I think both sides, I think you could do both, but you're right. Yeah, there's no there's no limits about what you can and can't do at all. Like, for sure. I agree.
That's what people are scared of, is like trying to do stuff. I think people are intimidated a lot, and we're in a weird place as a people right now. Just everything that's happening, and I don't want to go off into some kind of crazy tangent, because I'm sure we both could talk for hours on just the state of things in our country right now. But like, it's weird, man. I feel like a lot of pain that I never thought I would feel, like empathy and stuff. I see stuff and it gets me emotional. I get upset, I get sad, I get angry, and yeah, man. I just, by that I mean, like, if you find a cause that you really are attracted to, like, go after it, man. Like, you can still do all the other shit you want to do, but go after it, make some changes, and if you find a profession you really like, go after it.
Yeah, for sure.
What was it like when you stopped doing regular, quote unquote, regular work to just do music full time? Was that kind of like a daunting feeling? Were you a little intimidated by it, or did you just go, I got this, man?
Yeah, it's scary. It's still scary.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's still scary. Man, you want to talk about what's going on right now politically, it is definitely scary. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I remember when COVID hit, I was having discussions with all my musician friends, and those who were full time were freaking out. They didn't know what was going to happen. Some of them got part time jobs, but we got through it. Everybody got through it, and it was that. I think if we can get through that, I think we'll be okay. And one of the things I think that kind of got me through it is that musicians are naturally, I think, very creative people, and very industrious, and we're gonna get, if anybody can get through it, it's artists, because we're always going to be able to come up with a way to get through it. Our minds are our biggest asset, and we'll be okay.
Dude, that's very well said. Honestly, I didn't know what you were going to say, but that makes me happy to hear, man, because a lot of folks are very, very negative right now, and with reason. I'm not, but like, it's nice to hear somebody with a positive outlook, because it's hard right now to feel that way. Just so many things that your people are doing and saying right now, and this isn't even like just people, like regular people, not government people, just regular folks, where I hear something and I go, man, like 5 years ago, I am certain that you would have never said that out loud in a public place. And I'm like, we're getting in a crazy, crazy place where you'll say this shit in front of people and not think it's bad and not be ashamed of yourself. Like, that's insane to me. But
yeah,
like you said, man, the pendulum will swing both ways, I guess. I guess right now we're dealing with a swing in that direction, and then it'll eventually go back. But it is weird, man. I'm glad musicians exist. I'm glad there's punk rock. I'm glad people like you are out there willing to talk and take a little time out of your day to just introduce me to your world, man. I think it's awesome. This is why I do all this stuff. I want more people to hear your music and continue to support you so you can keep making music for a living. That'd be, that's the goal. But before we get out of here, man, is there any bands you want to shout out or anything you want to bring attention to? The floor is yours, man.
Yeah, there's a few bands I think that are doing, similar things of the mixing with genres. One of them I just saw for the first time and heard for the first time at Punk Rock Bowling earlier this year. They're La Misa Negra. I believe they're from LA or San Diego. But they were inspiring me. They're doing similar things as us, as they're mixing traditional Mexican rhythms. They do a lot of cumbia, actually, and actually they're doing some metal in there, which is cool. And they had traditional instruments as well, and they were inspiring. They're really cool. I really, really like their music, and they're great musicians too. The other band is Son Rompeperra from Mexico City. Same thing. They're mixing punk rock with like marimba music, traditional marimba music from over there, and that's awesome. Um, you know, yeah, those are probably like the bands that right now I'm like, I actually that's some other groups I'd like to do some playing with, some tour with. I played shows with both those bands, and that was a lot of fun. Um, and it's cool, like this sort of uh, a vibe that these bands give off, especially because they're so fresh and new, and and I don't know. I would just love to play a show with those bands because I don't know. I feel we're kind of like kindred spirits. So
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a thread that goes through both of the groups or all three of the groups. Not that you familiar with much stuff coming out of Mexico right now?
not as much, man. It's sometimes I feel like I'm very far removed
Mm.
over here in the U.S. But I do try when I can. You learn about new bands and everything, and Mexico is a man. Just a juggernaut of music. So much music, so
Yes.
much great music. Um, everything too, and then not just in punk rock world, but everything.
Now, they got a huge metal scene out there, dude. Like Mexico,
Yeah,
man, I want to go out there so bad, dude. Like I've been on the border quite a bit, and I've lived in Texas my whole life. I've been out to Laredo a lot, and like just, but I've never been like in Mexico, and I want to go so bad because I love the people, and I love the food, and I love the music. So I'm like, man, like the clothing is what I like. Like I like all of it. I've been around it my whole life. It just kind of feels like the homies to me. But there's a band out of Mexico called Mess. I was just curious if you'd ever heard them. They're really 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 good,
no, sorry.
dude. Give them a shot one of these days, dude. It's just MESS, man, and they have like this. They're one of those bands that kind of mix like a rock and roll with oi with a little bit of I don't want to say like post punk, but kind of. It's interesting, man. Really really good sing along stuff. They sing a lot in Spanish, a lot in English, but I saw them play a couple times in LA. And I just was like, bro, I was a fan before I saw him play, but when I saw him, I was like, dude, no, I'm a lifer, man. This band is the shit. As long as
Cool.
they're around, I will be a fan. But same goes with Piñata Protest, man. I appreciate your time today, dude. This is awesome, man. Getting to know people is exactly how I get interested in the music. So I definitely appreciate your time, man. I will definitely be seeing you guys play again live. If you ever need anything from me, please reach out and let me know.
Right on, man. I appreciate you having me. Thank you very
Hell
much.
yeah, dude. Everybody go check out Piñata Protest. Let me know in the comments what you think. What's your favorite song? If you seen them live, how was it? And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next Punk Rock Review podcast.